wrong? Just to play devil's advocate, anything in your periphery, your outlook, what could change your opinion if there was some policy change or historic event? Is there anything on the radar, Stacy, Max, that would change your outlook?
The American people decided to nominate for president two options: a clown or a man with cognitive decline. You know, it's like they kind of made their decision. Like, we have a guy who's 80 years old in office who started he was elected the month that a month or two after the U.S. went off the gold standard. And I think we've kind of given up. I don't think there's anything a Joe Biden administration can do to rescue the dollar. And the dollar is all that matters. Right? That's all that matters in the current paradigm. China's doing their own thing. They're stockpiling gold. They're probably stockpiling Bitcoin. I know they seized 200,000 from a Ponzi scheme operator, 200,000 Bitcoin. Who knows what they're going to do with that? But they're stockpiling resources. We have no idea, like all those imports over the past decade, how much they're actually stockpiling in preparation for this Thucydides trap situation and the dollar collapse. I think they've been preparing for it. If you look at their actions, that's what I'm assuming. So like this system, because the world is under a U.S. empire, it's up to the U.S. Only the U.S. could fix the situation because they're the ones in charge. But like Warren Buffett had said with the derivatives, like, where do they even begin? There's so much fraud in derivatives and debt, and nobody knows who owns what. And, so this country, we can't even distribute a vaccine. We don't even make masks. Like, we're sitting at home for 10 months printing up like hundreds of years worth of currency because we don't know how to make a mask, and nobody apparently knows how to make a mask in this country, a face mask, a medical mask. Yeah. So, I mean, what do you think that sort of country can fix the system that they created?
I mean, how difficult would it have been to just simply refabricate the treasury to print masks instead of dollars?
Yeah, no, I'm totally with you on that. I know, Stacy, in answer to that question, I absolutely do not see any sort of competent leadership that's going to create a plan that, would change the course of history as it's unfolding. I guess my question was more based in what unforeseen events could occur.
Right. Okay. So it's like a question of probability and risk, right? Sure. So money management is both. You've got looking at upside and alpha, but it's a risk adjusted, right? You've got to adjust for risk. So in the case of the fiat money avalanche, think of it like Niagara Falls, right? There's a Niagara Falls of cash that's coming into the system, and you're in a barrel and you're heading for the edge of the falls. And you get to the point where we are now in America, where the barrel has now gone over the edge and it's now falling down Niagara Falls and it's going to head for the rocks. So the question is, what could stop the barrel from falling and hitting the rocks below? And the answer isn't absolutely zero, because, for example, a flash freeze could happen and freeze Niagara Falls and stop the barrel. A helicopter could come, and you could extricate yourself from that barrel, and you could avoid death. Okay. Sure. What is the probability of that? I would say it's not absolute zero, but it's close. Yeah. So I say, okay, what's the probability that the Niagara Falls of cash, which is destroying the American economy and the global economy, and we've got Bitcoin, which is now on a parabolic move, people escaping the blazing fire that is the fiat money bonfire of nuts running the system. What is the probability of that changing and going in reverse? And I would say, if it's not absolute zero, because you never know, aliens could show up, like Paul Krugman believes in aliens coming into America.
The Galactic Federation.
The Galactic Federation could show up. Area 51 could send over some aliens and things. You can't say it's absolutely zero, but I think it's as close to zero you ever find in the money management business. With Bitcoin, I say there is no top, because when it comes to the dollar, there is no bottom. And also, you're going on 300 years of history. No fiat money has ever survived, right? They've all gone to zero or lost 99.9% of their purchasing power. So, that seems like I've never seen a more lopsided, one-sided bet in the 40 years that I've been involved with Wall Street, investing technology, startups as a CEO. And I've done everything from in this business you could possibly imagine. I've never seen a more lopsided upside bias than I have with Bitcoin.
I might also add, let me point out here that the last opportunity for the state, for the U.S. empire to stop this situation was with Barack Obama. October 31st, 2008, the Bitcoin white paper was published. A week later, Obama was elected on hope and change. The financial system around us was collapsing. It was on the verge of absolute collapse. The population of America said, yes, we're electing Obama, an amazing orator. He said he gave them so much hope that he would put an end to this crime wave, that he would stop this situation, that these bankers would be punished for obliterating the U.S. economy. Well, then January 3rd, 2009, Bitcoin was birthed into the world. Chancellor on brink of second bailout for bank. Obama took office 2 weeks later, and he promptly ignored the people. The people were right. He should have done something. He should have arrested all those bankers. He should have kicked all the CEOs out. They all were failed banks. The taxpayer of America bailed them out. They all should have lost their job. None of them did. That was the opportunity to do something. He chose instead to maintain the status quo, let Larry Summers people rip across America with more of this excuses for fraud. So they compounded the fraud, and that fraud is now talk about parabolic. Look at the amount of fraud that has been piled upon this global financial system since 2008. Look at the balance sheets of the central banks around the world. Bitcoin is like a little tiny blip, the price, the asset class as itself compared to the enormity of this fraud. But Barack Obama had that opportunity at that moment, and he failed it. He chickened out. He decided to go with the people who destroyed the system.
Yeah, I'd say that was the last chance. Yep.
When it comes to just investing more in Bitcoin now, because every instinct I have as an investor, when you see a chart that looks like this, you want to run away from it, right? That's historically. And when I see the sentiment surrounding Bitcoin on Twitter or in various chat groups or conferences and whatnot, it's very reminiscent of the sentiment around gold and silver in 2011 when the bulls have been proven right year after year, and you couldn't tell them any different that silver wouldn't go to $100. And it was a lot of frustrating conversations and binary predictions. I look at the Bitcoin price today, and I think anybody who entered the space even just a year ago is up 400%. The speculator in me says people are going to start taking profits. And I understand the bigger picture moving towards a unit of accounts, but, we still operate on a US dollar reserve currency. So do you expect that to impact the trajectory in 2021 here? Just looking at the profits that are on the table that are very tempting for individuals.
Right. Well, we started buying it at $1.
Yeah. So
that question has been around for 10 years, right? When it was at $1 and then trading at $50, you're like, wow, it's a 50x return. That chart looks pretty parabolic. Same thing at $500 and $1,000 and $10,000. And now we're up around, pushing high 30,000s, 40,000s. But I think what people need to understand about Bitcoin is that it is the birth of an entirely new asset class, and it's on its own vector, and it doesn't correlate with anything. And it's disrupting the entire global money system and disrupting gold. And gold, as we know, is in the $10 trillion market cap level. And Bitcoin should trade at an even market capitalization to gold. So we're talking 400,000 plus per coin. And that's still a huge return from the current high 30,000s to 40,000. That's number one. Number two, there's just not a lot of supply. The Bitcoins on the supply side is very meager, and the protocol is ingeniously designed so that every 4 years the output or the supply is cut in half. we have the halvings every 4 years. We just experienced one recently in the last 6 months or so. And that, of course, gets people's attention because that supply is shrinking. Unlike the gold market, where the supply is, call it 2.5-3% a year. And if the gold price were to get to $5,000 an ounce, that the supply would go a lot higher because suddenly technology would improve, people would do more exploration, they would find more deposits. And just like we saw in the oil industry, remember the idea of peak oil? And oil was at $147 a barrel. Oh my gosh! Well, then here's fracking. The technology closed the gap, and suddenly there was a supply glut of oil, and the price got very, very weak. And the same thing can happen in the gold market. Whereas that's impossible with Bitcoin. It's algorithmically deterministic at 21 million coins. That's it. The supply on a daily basis, we're currently at 900 coins a day, is constantly shrinking every 4 years as per the halving. And that gets, so the supply side of the equation is getting smaller and smaller, and the demand side is getting stronger and stronger. If you were to plant an acorn into the ground and you come back the year later and it's a foot high or 18 inches high, you'd be like, wow, this is an amazing return on my acorn. They come back 10, 15 years later and it's, 50 feet high, 60 feet high, right? This is the seed of a new asset class that is on a vector that is unlike anything else we've ever seen, separating state from money. Never happened before. And the need is going hyperbolic up because states are collapsing. Look at the chaos in America and all over the world. Money printing, parabolic. Look at the money printing that's going on. 30% of all money in America printing, I think, in the last 4 years or something like that. And just an amazing amount of paper out there. And the ability to transact online is instantaneous. Anybody with a telephone can buy Bitcoin. Money managers have no problem getting huge amounts of cheap money. They can buy Bitcoin. So that's why, you got to think of it like, we've seen, I think Apple stock adjusted for splits is, if you were to go back and reverse all the splits, it's trading for around 30,000 per share.
Okay.
And so Bitcoin at 30,000 a coin, right? When you combine gold with a messaging app, you have this phenomenon, and it's not going to shrink. It's only going to expand exponentially. It's exponentially expanding.